Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today I spotted this little bit of co-worker drama and I thought, oh, it's a bit different from what we're used to, so I thought we'd get involved. It's from Accomplished COD 1527 and says, crazy co-worker expects me to pay for her food. And this was from the co-worker stories subreddit. My co-worker basically had to leave the restaurant and go get her wallet, go back to the restaurant and pay because I lied and told her I didn't have my wallet. For some context, this co-worker makes less than I do, but not a lot less. Every time we go to breakfast or lunch, she left her wallet somewhere new. I have paid before, and then I'll have to send her a Venmo request, which she sends back days or weeks later. Sometimes I've forgotten, and she's always gotten away with it. I started to notice this, and today she asked me if I wanted to go get breakfast with her. I told her I'd go with her, but had already had breakfast. Of course, when we sit down, she says, "Oh my god, I forgot my wallet." And I said, "Oh my god, me too." Lol. I tell her to go get it from the car and she says she'll try Apple Pay. She eats, and when time to pay comes, she asks if they use Apple Pay, and they don't. I'm a very over-prepared person and was embarrassed that she waited till she ate to ask that, when we could have quickly walked to a car and gotten the wallet. Anyway, she asked me again if I'm sure I don't have my wallet, which I thought was weird, and I said yes. The place let her come back a little later to pay, since we showed them where we worked on the block. The whole way back to work, she went on about how embarrassing that was and said to me, "You never have your wallet when I need it," which I was so confused. The sheer audacity. I said, "Excuse me? I always have my wallet or a form of payment, which is why we have been here before, and I've paid for you. And it's crazy to say that to me when you never have your wallet and when I didn't eat." And she just looked like a deer in headlights. I was appalled. I genuinely think this woman may be cray after this. How can she, after eating on her own and not being able to foot her own bill, then turn around and tell me I never have my wallet? Edit. I didn't expect this to go semi-viral. Thanks for all the comments and advice. Just want to add a couple of points that I think are important. One, we're the only two women at the office. Our boss is rarely here and all other employees are remote. We basically just make sure the satellite office doesn't fall apart and get whatever our boss needs, collect the mail, etc. So we have a lot of downtime. We don't even have to answer phones, so we go to breakfast at a cafe nearby often since it takes us 20 to 30 minutes to eat, and our boss encourages it. After these comments, I'll definitely be either eating alone or not going with her. 2. She may be this way with everyone because on her birthday, she posted her Venmo on Facebook and asked people to send gifts through there. Oof, God. Oh, no way. People when they do that, man, it just makes me cringe inside. Like, post on Facebook for that sort of stuff. I've only ever seen something once kind of similar like that. We got in a pub in the UK called Wetherspoons that serves food as well. Fairly cheap stuff, you know. But basically on there, you can order through the app, you can order all your food and stuff and table number. And I remember someone putting on Facebook once saying, "Oh, I'm at this restaurant and it's my birthday and I can only afford one drink. So if any of my friends or family would like to show their love and treat me, I'm at this table." So like they could order for her and then pay through the app. And apparently she had like a bit of a history of doing this kind of thing as well. I just couldn't bring myself to do that, man. Holy moly. And like OP said in this, the fact that, you know, she knew she didn't have her wallet, but still was going to eat first, and then I might try this other form of payment to see if it works. And ask if they do Apple Pay. Surely you'd confirm that before. This person just sounds shady as hell, don't they? But Good Bunch says, either you are way too nice or this is some kind of codependent relationship. You supported this behavior well beyond reason. How come? OP says definitely both. I'm way too nice and there aren't a lot of people at this job, so we just use each other for some small talk here and there, so we don't go insane in the silence all day. Definitely not going to eat with her again, and after these comments I may just mention to her that I think she's mooching next time. She asked me to go eat with her anywhere. She's also one of those people who is always going through something, So it took me a while to notice she's blatantly mooching off me. She knows I'm just lucky to have inherited my apartment from an uncle with no kids and I don't pay rent, which makes me feel like she may have excused it to herself as she has more than enough money. But hey, I'm trying to save too and was born piss poor. My only asset is where I live. It's a 1-bedroom in a bad area. Also realizing as I type this that there was no reason I should have ever shared that with her. Left Click says I agree with this. There was a girl I went to junior high with who ended up going to the same college as me. It was nice to see a familiar face, so I didn't think anything of it when we started meeting up in the lunchroom. One day she asked me if I knew how much an energy drink was and I told her. She asked if I had an extra $1, so I gave it to her. Little did I know that dollar was like the gateway to the numerous times thereafter that she would ask me for money. She promised to pay the $1 back, but that never happened. The most I gave her was $3 and her promises to pay back remained unfulfilled. I was more annoyed that seeing each other was about her asking me for money, not a move towards genuine friendship. I started avoiding the area and either accepting invitations to eat off campus or eat somewhere else away from the vicinity of the lunchroom. I did this for a while until one day I ran into her on the way to the student office. She stopped me and told me she hadn't seen me in a bit, but she was short on money to use the vending machine. I don't know whether I was in a good mood or what came over me, but I froze and said, "Sorry, I only brought enough money for myself. Ask someone else." She had the nerve to press me, and I told her I was sorry, but I already told her I couldn't help her. The last image of her as I continued on my way was her just standing there with her mouth half open in disbelief. I'm not sure if she dropped out or switched schools because I never ran into her again. OP says she has done this too. I keep my energy drinks in the office fridge and she'll ask for one and says she'll pay me and she doesn't. Thankfully it happened once and the second time I said no. Left Click replies that and says, "Good gracious." I love a good gracious. You've got a full-blown mooch that you're associated with. I've seen suggestions in other threads about locked cooler lunchboxes. You can't trust this person around any of your stuff. So OP did come in with her update. Starts off pretty intense. It says she got fired over the weekend because she sent an email to the wrong client enclosing a bunch of confidential agreements. This is not the first time she's gotten reprimanded before, so I was not surprised since she and I both knew she was on thin ice with my boss. The most shocking part to me was that she immediately blocked me on all social media and text as soon as she left, even though I stayed cordial with her since the last time we went to eat and wrote the post. So I definitely feel like even more of an idiot than I felt after the wallet comment. Can't believe I trusted someone for 4 years who was waiting for any second to remove me from her life. Let this be a reminder that co-workers are not friends. And the top comment on that one from Shoot says, "Maybe she knew you were talking shit on Reddit." OP says, "Can't say that didn't cross my mind." Lol. And I kind of find that sad that someone's tainted that for OP, that co-workers can't be friends. And I imagine that a few people will agree with OP on that one. But some of my best friends to this day were ex-co-workers. Actually thinking about it, the majority of them are. And I just kind of find it a bit sad that, like I said, it's been tainted for OP. Maybe not. Maybe OP is just going to be a bit more cautious, which isn't a bad thing at the same time. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Have you ever had yourself a crazy co-worker story? Don't forget r/Mark Narrations. Share your little bit of drama right there. I'm all for it. Give me that tea. And let's move on to another story. And our next story does have a couple of updates as well. It's from Feeling Worse Zelda, who says, "I, 25 male, have a hard time finding girls to date because I want them to like The Legend of Zelda." And I'm sure the majority of people know The Legend of Zelda, but just in case, it's an action-adventure video game. You can see the majority of you now look at me like, we all know what that is, but just in case, calm down, all right? Hi everyone. This might seem like deja vu to you, but that's because I made a thread about a month ago here that was very similar to this, but I forgot what the throwaway account I used was. But basically I'm creating this thread because things have gone for the worse and I really badly need advice. So basically, I seem to only be attracted to girls who are obsessed with The Legend of Zelda like me. A few weeks ago, I met this girl in my class who is very sweet and quite honestly, I feel I might have a shot with her if I put in some effort. And at first I felt like going for it. However, my brain came to its senses and figured she doesn't like Zelda, then she's no good. And honestly, I'm really sad by this. I know I make a big deal out of mentioning Zelda, but I think that in general there is a bigger underlying problem. I'm part of a minority since my parents are immigrants in this country, and for a few years I've gone for girls who were culturally similar to me, as in girls who grew up with the same culture and traditions as me. This was a big deal to me, and I refused to date outside of my culture. This was, by the way, completely my desire. My parents never pressured me into this. I feel it was part of my identity crisis that many immigrant kids go through growing up. Well, I dated a few girls who were culturally compatible with me. However, things turned bad, and in general, I stopped caring for my parents' culture. So I decided that I no longer wanted to date girls from my parents' culture. However, without noticing it, I must have replaced the cultural requirement with a gaming requirement. Now the girl had to share the same passion for Zelda as me, since that gaming series meant a lot to me growing up. Basically what I think this is me being attracted to girls I have things in common with, and not just any things. It has to be things that mean a lot to me. But of these requirements have meant that my dating pool is extremely small, and honestly, I wish I could stop thinking like this, but I can't. For instance, the girl I met in my class, since we don't have Zelda in common, the fear of later meeting a girl who does like Zelda will result in me getting really jealous and feel like I settled when I could have gotten my dream girl, somebody with the same passion in common. I honestly don't know how to deal with this. It's not just something I can switch off. All I can think about is just meeting a girl who shares the same love for Zelda as me, and I feel like that's the only way to get over this. Now obviously I don't want to diagnose or anything like that, but it does sound pretty unhealthy the way that you described it in this particular post. The fact that it's affecting your life in a negative way just says to me that, maybe it's time to seek some help about this. Not Reddit help, professional help. And the fact that, you're saying yourself that you wish you could stop thinking like this, it just screams that to look for some sort of professional help with it. But Dolomite says, have you talked to a counselor about this? You mentioned going to class, and many universities have free on-campus counseling. Maybe it's something for you to look into. On a more direct note, you will learn more from someone you differ from than you would from someone with the same life experience as you. You should embrace differences, not shun them. It can only serve to broaden your outlook. Opie says, I guess that's true, but I've come to believe that it's different strokes for different folks. Some people might see the appeal in others who are different from them, but I can't. In fact, I'd rather stay single than be in a relationship with somebody who is different from me. It's just what appeals to me, I guess. Kornberg says this is beyond Reddit's pay grade. If you want to stop obsessing over this and it's harming your ability to live a full life, it's time to see a professional counselor or therapist. On the scale of the weird shit they've seen, I promise that you're nowhere close to someone who would freak them out. You're not crazy, you don't need to be committed to a hospital, and you probably don't even need medication. What you're going through is much more common than you think. From what you said, you're likely experiencing anxiety about dating or getting close to someone and are using your extremely specific partner requirements to avoid the risk. I use World of Warcraft to avoid confronting my depression and anxiety over dating after my boyfriend broke up with me in a very cruel way. It's not an uncommon response to complicated and scary situations. Talking to a professional help will help you figure out strategies that will help you cope with those emotions, will allow you to move past this problem. There's nothing wrong with preferring to date someone with common interests, but you're taking this preference too far, and it's creating a wall between you and relationships with other people. And I gotta say, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Reddit. There's someone going through a similar situation, or pretty much a same situation as OP in the comments. I find that incredible. But OP says, well, about using my requirements as an excuse. I did date a girl in the past who were into Zelda as well. And we were together for a year, and I was very happy in that relationship. We broke up because she ended up cheating on me. If I had to guess, I'd say I'm more than ready to be in a relationship. However, the thought of dating someone with nothing in common just seems unappealing to me. OP comes in with their first update and says, a lot has changed since I made that update. Actually, I can't believe it has only been a week since I posted that. It feels like much longer. I started using Tinder. I figured I'd just see what it's like. Earlier today I matched with this girl that I thought was cute. I know the chances of her liking Zelda is too slim to zero, but I'm trying so hard to push myself to send her a message. I read all your comments in my last post and I thought long and hard about them. I honestly didn't know what to say to most of them. I've considered all the advice I've received heavily. I'm just honestly feeling like having a panic attack. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I'm scared of jumping into something that I will regret. What if I send her a message and we hit it off and she doesn't like Zelda? We have nothing in common. The thought freaks me out and I just don't know. On top of that, I keep thinking to myself that maybe if I wait it out, the one girl who likes Zelda as well will come along, but if I settle for somebody else now, then I will never end up with a girlfriend who also likes Zelda. It's so stupid. All the things I just wrote are so stupid. I know it makes no sense at all, but I'm just literally freaking out and feel like I'm having a mental breakdown. I want to send this girl on Tinder a message or just meet any girl who doesn't necessarily like Zelda, but this is all freaking me out so much. Update 2. This will probably be my final update because at this point I don't feel like there's anything left to do or say. I can't imagine anyone giving any sort of advice to help me on my situation, so if anything, this is just more like closure for me. So to pick up where I left off earlier this week, I sent a message to the girl on Tinder. I tried to make a short and clever joke, but it backfired since she never replied back, so that was that. I know that 95% of all posts have told me to go to therapy. I finally made the call. Unfortunately, they told me there was a waiting list and that the earliest appointment I could get was in February. Please note, I don't live in America, so we don't really have fast therapists here. Or maybe I just haven't called the right people yet. Perhaps there are some therapists I'm supposed to call, but the organization that I was told to call told me that all therapists were completely booked, so that was that. I've come to the conclusion that there isn't much to do about this. I've joined a bunch of Facebook groups dedicated to Zelda, and I'm trying to make friends there, both genders. If I ended up liking a girl there, then that's great, and I'd even be willing to do an online relationship and eventually move her to a place if it gets so far. My career is very flexible, so I can find jobs many places in the world. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm sorry for letting everyone down. So Opie comes in with what is the final update and says, guys, I think I'm cured. It was a strange event, but what the heck? It made me realize something. I was studying late at night in my room a few days ago. I have this shelf in my room with a bunch of Zelda collectibles and a really expensive Zelda figurine underneath it, $400+. But guess what? As my luck would have it, IKEA's shelf gave in. All my collectibles fell to the ground and the shelf knocked down my figure and destroyed it. Obviously a distressing moment for me, but it was also at that time I realized I need to perhaps chill with this hobby, and that the hobby can still be mine without having to necessarily share it with a significant other. Of course, I would prefer it if she liked Zelda too, and it would definitely be a huge plus in my book, but if I fall in love with a girl who isn't into Zelda, I guess that's just how it's going to be. I'm honestly not going to worry too much about this, to be honest. I have enough on my plate with studies as it is. Plus, gotta take some extra shifts at work so I can replace my broken statue and collectibles. Unfortunately, some of them can't be bought anymore, but oh well, such is life. Thanks everyone for reaching out to me and helping me. This has been an eye-opener for me. I'm more than willing to date a girl who doesn't care about Zelda because honestly, if she's just there for me and makes me happy, I feel that is all I can ask for. However, if she happens to like Zelda too, then that's great. Not a requirement, just a plus. And there was a comment which Opie replied to about asking if this whole thing is real, and Opie says, so if I take pictures of the damage done to my collection and screwed up wall, all with timestamps, is that going to prove anything? I find it funny how there's news about a Saudi prince who's been arrested in SoCal for forcing women to watch him have a guy fart in his face, yet me wanting a girlfriend who is into Zelda as well is apparently a lot more strange, so it has to be fake and a troll. What? I really do hope the best for this dude, but in the end, it didn't convince me that he's moved past whatever he's going through. It still felt like it was in there in the background. You know, he's still going to buy Zelda figurines. He's still going to be a part of these groups. And it almost felt like, to me anyway, like he was trying to convince himself. But whatever, I still hope that at some point in the future, he does get this professional help or find someone that isn't so busy so he can get some sort of professional help. But what do you guys make of this situation? Bit of a different one there. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.